Okay, so this is my game. I'm recording this with Fraps right now, so it's just jumping right into the game. Um, I put myself at the bottom so that I won't get killed while I'm talking. I'll probably have to run through this a couple times because it's not very long. This was basically just like a prototype kind of thing. It was a project for a game programming class, and so it was far from complete, but the basic stuff is in there. There's enemies that are being loaded from a file rather than just hard-coded right in, and same with the backgrounds. What you don't see going on is like the backgrounds are actually in a section of 9. This is actually the end of backgrounds now, where the level's over. But there's like a section of 9 backgrounds where what you're seeing right now is the middle of the 9. And normally the idea was that you'd be able to go up or you'd be able to go down, and so you would have access to those top 3 and bottom 3. But it only keeps 9 loaded at one time, and let me go ahead and start it over again. Okay, so it only keeps 9 loaded at a time to, save, memory or whatever. And so it's kind of dynamically loaded, and I really like that part of it. I spent a lot of time doing like some of the core things, not the actual things you can see, but things that are tucked away underneath. And so there's not a lot to show here except for some bad collision detection. Oh, I actually died there. There is bad collision detection. I think it's the sprites are too low or something, but so there's some bad collision detection at the moment, and there's also, you see this cursor here, which is supposed to allow the player to aim and shoot. Let me restart so you can see it again. Okay, so right now he's just shooting straight ahead, but he's supposed to be able to angle, but I was having a bug I was trying to fix at the time, so I disabled it temporarily, and then I started working on my editor, so I never got around to doing the rest. But yeah, so there's not a lot to show for this because it was just a prototype, and I didn't do as much work on this as I did for the editor, so just some cheesy graphics and bad collision detection. But my editor is a lot more interesting, I think. I'll go ahead and show you that now. Okay, so this will be the second time I'm recording this video. The first one messed up. I was having a problem with Fraps, and so I had to download a new program. I had to download XSplit and work with that. Something to do with the air file, I believe, instead of using an exe. Okay, so I'm having to use version 0.1.22 of my level editor. I was going to use 23, but it's not done yet, and it's just too broken, in a broken state right now. I can't really demonstrate with it. So go ahead and show this. It does have at least one bug that I'm aware of that is not in the more recent stuff. So oh, I should have, let me redo that again. Okay, so there's a loading screen at the beginning, and that during that time, that's when all the assets of the images are loaded, and then it comes to this main menu type screen here, and this would be like the new button, like for a new file, for a new project or whatever. This is load, obviously based on the symbols. But these buttons themselves, I created them myself. There was built-in like button things that I didn't like how they worked, so I decided to make my own, and so I made my own button class, and so that I could get the effects that I wanted. And so yeah, so they have highlight and pressing, obviously, and so yeah, so now I'm in a new level. It doesn't look new, but that's because this is what I have my new levels look like for right now, so that I don't have to make something when I want to test things, so I can have objects already on here. The yellow areas, that would be like where there could be a background loaded in, but it hasn't been yet. That's just like it's blank. And then these three, there have been backgrounds loaded in. And then you have enemy and an enemy and some collision objects. And later, what the idea for the collision objects is you'll be able to create the collision objects with a collision objects tool up here. You have square and triangle and circle. As of right now, well, you can't. You can put them in via typing it in manually into a file, but that's about it. Same with the enemies. You can't actually add enemies right now, but that's what this part over here that I was working on for the next version, adding enemies. So that's what this section over here is. It's a little this is you would have like your whole library of enemies, and then you can click on them and put them in. So this up here is the top toolbar. This is the side toolbar for the enemies and power-ups and destructibles section. This would be like where libraries are at, and this is just where a bunch of buttons are. Whatever buttons I can think of that would be useful. Um, what is and then this right here is the workspace area, and what's working right now, things that I can actually show you, is like I can move the move the workspace around so I can um, get to different parts. If this was really long, this is only small, but right now, but you could be much bigger, and I can zoom in and zoom out. I can double click to zoom right into that square. It zooms in wherever your cursor's at. Unless you hit this button here, then it doesn't matter where your cursor's at, it'll just zoom straight in. So there's that, and these are actually the backgrounds from the game that you might have remember from the game. Just some ones I was using for just testing purposes. I can actually load in a new one by right clicking. I made this context menu here, and then I can load in a new background. I don't really have any backgrounds. There's some game backgrounds. I can use another one I already had, but or like the filler background. Oh, this is the other filler. Sorry. Um, I can put in this or something. Not very interesting, but and I can move these objects around. They aren't static anymore. You can move them around and place them into different locations. There is a bug in this particular version, but it's already been fixed. And that is, if you go to a new section, you let go, then it, pops over here. But that's been fixed already. Um, and I do have fully functional saving and loading. So this file right here was loaded in from a text file, which looks like new.level right here. Hold on a sec. Okay, sorry, I had to tend to the babies. Okay, so this is new.level. This is just the level that it loads by default. Normally it would be a lot more blank than this, but for testing purposes I fill it in with things. So you have things like the constant section, the attributes. This is just some gibberish that it ignores when it reads it in. Backgrounds, collision objects, and enemies, and then later power-ups and destructibles as well. Probably other things, but they haven't came yet. So it reads all of this in. I have a whole class built around reading this file and creating things based on it into the editor. So it reads all of it in, interprets what it means, creates the objects that it needs to create on the screen, puts them in, has a level data file that keeps track of these things, so they're not just added and then they're forgotten. They're kept in memory. And so if I change their position, it updates the position in the level data, and so that when you hit save, then it's going to reproduce this same level file, but it's going to have the adjusted values. I don't know if this particular version supports everything I just said, but the newer one definitely does. So Um, yeah, so there's that, and then there's also enemy files that, like, so when it comes down here and it reads, oh, this is a John type enemy. His name's John. um, it's just some generic name I use. When it sees, oh, this is a John type enemy. Well, I need its defaults. What are its defaults? I need to know what attributes it has. So, well, that's what John.enemy is. And then it says all of its attributes here, and it reads them in that way. And then, of course, you can override them in the level file right here in case you wanted to have, oh, I want a John enemy, but I want him to have more speed, and make him smaller. Well, I would really change these, but change his width and height, and or maybe he's faster at shooting or whatever. Any kind of things can be changed in here to make that particular instance of that enemy a little bit different than the standard. And then so yeah, as of right now, you can increase the height. That's what this little button is here, and T for top. And so I increase the height of the level on the top, and here I increase the width of the level on the right, and I can also decrease them, as well. So you have this fully functional ability. Eventually, it's going to be that you can right click and add them that way. You can maybe insert in the middle of them. I just haven't done that yet. And then also there'll be shortcut keys as well. Um, so yeah, over here is going to be the section for the libraries. So you have, if I click, oh, I kind of broke it there, but if I were to click this and it actually worked right now, then it would display the enemy's library over here on the right, and this would display the power up, and that would be the destructible library. And so you can just, if you wanted this particular enemy, you just click it, and then you can put them in all over the place in here if you wanted, however you want to do it. And then you have these three buttons, which are to create these um, collision objects. They're see-through-ish. Whoops, see, that's a bug. That's already fixed. They're see-through, so that they can be put behind things and in front of things or whatever. So you, like there, there. But later, when these buttons are actually activatable, you'll be able to push this button and go, okay, click here, and then it creates a square there. Or click here, and there's a rectangle right there. And then, same thing, a triangle. Click, 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 there's a triangle. And that's how it's going to create those. And I haven't gotten to that part. That's for a later version. It's going to be a big task, I think, so I'm putting it to the side for now. And yeah, these buttons aren't active right now. These are basically snap in and snap out, so you can go click, click, and then same kind of idea, except you don't have to. You can like select a tile and then hit that if you want. There's always options up here to like click things instead of using like shortcut keys and stuff, but most people probably use shortcut keys. But yeah, so that's majoritively it. The simplified version, I guess. I could show you tons of code that I've done. Actually, I just recently ran this clock program that tells me how many lines of code and stuff that I have in this particular folder. And there's 6,500 lines of code and 692 comments and 1,580 blank lines. I just thought this was an interesting program. So I've got, I guess, 6,500 actual lines of code. That doesn't include comments and blank lines. And yeah, there's about 34 classes, I think, throughout here. Yeah, quite a bit. And Still not even close to done. But I'm working on it. What plans for the future are, obviously fixing little bugs like this where it separates for no reason. Um, Fixing little highlighting bugs like that, and these where the buttons stick in. Um, Things like that, and then the actual long-term goals are, finish the whole editor and then finish the whole game, but have it all in one program, so that when the player loads up the thing, they don't have to open a whole separate program to run the editor. It's just all in one, and also that'll also make it easier if they're both in one. It'll make it easier for what I have planned later, which is a simulation mode that I can be like, oh, okay, play the level and see how it is, and so that's planned for the future. And yeah, that's what I have so far. I think I've pretty much touched on everything that's not technical or super technical. So, yeah, that's about it.